TDN Radio and This Week in Interview. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Interview with your host and guide, Anthony Drago. It's a pleasure to be with you, as always, to spend an hour or so with you on a Wednesday night. So I hope you're having a good week so far and that you are looking forward to tonight's conversation. Make yourself comfortable. Tonight we have what's promising to be a very refreshing conversation because we have a young and vigorous gentleman with us. Who, we've been watching him on the news and really admiring him and his compatriots as they fight and try to represent the youth perspective in Dominica. And that person is Mr. Davidson Julien. He better known as Pyro. He's a member of the resistance group Sewye. And if you're not from Dominica, Sewye means serious people, people who are about serious business. And that's my guest tonight. So go get your water or something stronger, whatever that you were sipping on. Text somebody, let them know that This Week in Interview is live and that they should join in. We have this wonderful conversation on tap. Instead of taking the usual early break, we're going to play just a quick song that sort of sets the stage, sets the background for this conversation, because we're going to be talking about the political, the economical, the financial, the social situation of Dominica from the perspective of a young person, young professional who is actually living in Dominica and every day trying to scratch out a living for himself and his family. So stay tuned and let's listen to this quick song, set the stage. We come back. I'm going to introduce you to my guest.
The government selling passports to the world. Criminals buying flags unfurled. Country in trouble, people feeling the pain. We need a change, can't go on this way again. Dominica, wake up, we can't sell out no more. Passports to criminals, locking up the door. The country broke, we need a better plan. Time to rise up and take a stand. People suffering, streets full of strife. Politicians lying, messing up our life. Jobs hard to find, economy in the drain. We need real leaders to ease the pain. Dominica, wake up, we can't sell out no more. Passports to criminals, locking up the door. The country broke, we need a better plan. Time to rise up and take a stand. We got the beauty, we got the land. Time to use our resources and make a stand. Tourism and culture, the heart of the place. Let's build a future for the next generation's face. Dominica, wake up, we can't sell out no more. Passports to criminals, locking up the door. The country broke, we need a better plan. Time to rise up and take a stand. From the mountains high to the rivers deep, we got the potential, no need to weep. Education and health need to get strong. Let's unite together and right the wrong. Dominica, wake up, we can't sell out no more. Passports to criminals, locking up the door. The country broke, we need a better plan. Time to rise up and take a stand. Dominica, it's time to see we got the power for unity. No more selling out, let's take control for the love of the island. Bye. body and soul.
All right, Dominica, wake up, wake up. That's one perspective from a young person in Dominica, saying that if the country needs a change of experience, especially for the young people who live there. What do you think? Do you agree with that perspective? That what is happening in Dominica needs a shake-up, a new um, dawn, a new start, a revival, and that's kind of like what we're going to be talking. That set the stage for our theme of our conversation tonight with my guest, Mr. Davidson Julian. But let me say good night to you, my regular listeners, those of you who come back every week, week after week for the last several years. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I always look forward to spending this time with you. If you happen to be listening to this week in interview for the first time tonight, welcome to the program. I hope you love it as much as some of the regular listeners do, and you too will become a regular listener, because our objective in here is to just present information and ideas to you that you can consider, you can ruminate upon, and hopefully you can take action. But at the very least, you will be a little bit more informed at the end of the hour than you were where we starting off. Special good evening to you if you're listening in Dominica, RVR Jams Radio on DigiPlay Channel 59 carries this week in interview, as well as SBE Radio, online radio in the Toronto market, carries this week in interview live as well. All right, let's launch right into it. I want to bring up my guest, Mr. Davidson Julian, known as Pyro. He's a member of the Munsewie group. Munsewie, I describe them as a resistance group who are really agitating for the education of the average Dominican. When you see them out, they always reference their words and their actions to the Dominican Constitution. They advocate that the highest law, highest book in the country is the Constitution, and so they place all of their action and their activism stemming from the Constitution. And so my guest tonight is an active member, frontline member of Munsewi. And as I said, if you're not from Dominica and you don't speak Creole, Munsewi simply means serious people, people who are about serious business. And so I want to bring a guest up and tell Mr. Julian. I'm going to call you Pyro for the rest of the. I hope you don't mind, because
Yeah,
that's
man,
how
that
we
is my
refer to
name.
you. Yeah, yeah. So welcome to this week in interview. I know you've been on before, but I think it's the first time I'm having you as my exclusive guest for the entire hour. So
Yes.
welcome back to this week in interview. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here also. So good night to everyone. And yes, well, my name is Davidson Julian. I've been called Pyro, I think, from before I even got my name. So it's my neighbor. My neighbor gave me this name. It's an elderly old man who used to live across the street,
Uh-huh.
and I look like a cousin of my dad, whose name was Pyro.
Pyro. Okay, okay.
So he started calling me Pyro, and the name just stayed.
And
So
the name stuck.
yeah, the first day out of the hospital.
He said that's it, that is your uncle, Byro. All right. Well, as I said, welcome. And of course, those of you who follow Munsewi would be familiar with Pyro and his work. Just advocating for a long time. He and his group, they were going around Dominica, having community meetings, engaging the community, and also
Yes,
attempting to engage the authorities. And what I liked about it is
yes,
that you guys put the constitution of the country front and center, because a lot of your activism seems to be centered around the
yes,
constitution. That if folks understand the constitution better, they would probably have a different point of view, right?
yes. Because when you look at the situation down here, there's a lot of discrimination and there's a lot of ignorance people are
Mhm.
not aware of because our constitution is a social contract. It basically is the guideline that frames our society. And if you don't know or understand what is guiding you within where your environment, then you're going to have issues. And presently, I mean, if you look at it, we're at a constitutional impasse, presently, and it it is going on like there's no issue to it. We have no leader of the opposition, and those things are issues. So yes, we were taught the Constitution by Dr. Francis Grell. He was my school teacher, family member, former man of the community, and he taught us the Constitution because he was part of the Constitutional Review. He's somebody that used to teach us in school, SMA.
Mhm.
And that is where we really got our foundation in learning about the Constitution. And so when you look at it, I mean, things like discrimination shouldn't be something that is practiced or it's just not good for the society. And
Shouldn't be
if you look at it,
tolerated.
yeah, it should not be tolerated. That's the word.
Mhm.
And I believe our ancestors, our forefathers, they fought to stamp out those things so we could all participate in our communities, in our society, and make it more inclusive that everybody could gain something from society because we all live in the same space, in the same environment. So we
Right.
should all be able to enjoy that environment and not have one group of people feel like they're entitled to do as they please and
Mhm.
discriminate against others, take advantage of others, and so on. It's not something that is good. It's not something that is beneficial to none of us. Well, I shouldn't say to none of us. Some of them gain benefit from it,
Right.
but it's not nice. It's not good for the society and the communities.
And everything can be framed in the Constitution. So, um, some people are of the view that our Constitution needs a major overhaul.
Well,
Um,
yes, I will agree to.
mhm.
Yes, I agree to that. Definitely agree to that
Mhm.
because I mean, as the constitution stand, for instance, we don't vote for our president, we don't vote for our prime minister. They are all selected members among.
Explain that a little bit because some people will say, "Yeah, but we have elections. We vote our prime minister. What do you
Well,
mean
we
when you
vote
say
for
we don't
members of.
vote?" Mhm.
What we have is a modified Westminster system. In that
Mhm.
we have a unicameral parliament.
Mhm.
So everything, the Senate, everything is in one house.
Mhm.
The members of parliament are the same members that form the cabinet,
The
which
cabinet,
should
right?
not be because we're supposed to have three separate branches of government. And then you still have, we vote for what we call members of parliament,
Right.
MPs.
Mhm.
And the MPs amongst themselves select who is the prime minister, why they
He's the
say
prime
the
minister.
one that seemingly has the most support. Then the prime minister and the leader of the opposition are the ones that supposedly selects the president or decides who the president is supposed to be. And if they cannot come to an agreement, then it is brought to the parliament, and the members of parliament would vote on who they feel will they will
So are you
propose.
suggesting that the Constitution is saying that it should be different, that we should actually have an election to vote the prime minister, as how the Constitution says?
No, no, no. The constitution, that is our present situation.
Oh, that's what so what we do is according to the Constitution.
Yes,
But you're saying
presently,
that as a republic,
as a
we should
republic,
we should be voting a prime minister
I feel like we should be voting for our president,
or
especially because our
president.
president is a head of state. That is the highest office of the land,
Hmm.
and I don't think the highest office of the land should be a selected someone that is just selected amongst persons we feel of prestige or persons we should feel that have a certain level of how should I say it?
Popularity,
Not just popularity
hmm,
but like privilege.
privilege. Okay.
Right. So as a member of parliament, you would be a privileged person, is a representative of a constituency.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't think that, in my opinion, in order to kind of create that balance of power, I think the president should be elected, should be an elected
An
member.
elected member. So
Uh,
what? y- let me put it all in perspective. You right now, the position of president is almost a ceremonial function where the president acts
Not
on the
really.
instructions of the prime minister. I mean, that's what happens in practice. The
In
president does.
practice, yes, but in reality, the
Mhm.
president is the one that has all the power. Now, the
But if,
president, he distributes this power by by assigning portfolios to the different ministers. But all the power resides in the office of the president.
even with the present constitution, is that what you say? Or that's how
Yes,
it should be?
that is how it is.
That's how it is. But I
Yes,
mean, what we have happening is that the prime minister is
the head
chosen
of
from among the
government.
MPs, the people
Yes,
who win the election, and then the prime minister appoints pretty much the president,
voila.
and the prime minister can go back to parliament and replace the president if he's not happy with the way the president is functioning. Isn't that what happens right now?
Well, to a certain degree.
Uh-huh.
And to a certain degree, also the president could get rid of the prime minister
If he wanted to.
if he wanted to.
Okay, so you're saying even with our current thing, if the president was a man of integrity, although he is initially appointed or selected by the prime minister, if he thinks the prime minister is not acting in the interest of the country, he could replace the prime minister. Is that what you're saying?
He could. There are
There are
ways
ways to do it.
within the constitution. There are
Okay,
ways.
but that doesn't happen. And so
No,
and
but
so
the
you're saying
constitution.
that you're saying that one of the things that we should change about our constitution is to elect our president and to see that the president actually functions as a president, where he's not
Yes,
somebody who is chosen by the prime minister.
yes. Well, that is my proposal.
Yeah.
Like to balance of the power,
Mhm.
because as is the president cannot serve more than 2 terms, right?
Right.
Now, I believe that there's too much power in the office of the prime minister,
Prime minister. Okay.
and there should be a better balance of power, a better balance in the distribution of the power within the political structure. And there was a constitutional review that was done where the same Dr. Grell was involved in
Mhm.
97, 98. I think Telford George's Dr. Grell, Ray Harris, and the wife of one of the past presidents. What is his name? Nicholas Liverpool's wife.
Mhm.
So they had a commission of 4 people that actually reviewed the constitution, and they made us some proposals. They made proposals to change certain things and to some things they felt they should keep. Like they didn't feel to change. They didn't feel that it is necessary to vote for the president or vote for a prime minister. But what they were saying is that our system of government should really be the same as the American system of government, because in the constitution we are constitutional republic.
Mhm.
Section 116 of the constitution establishes Dominica as a constitutional
That's a
republic. So
republic.
Dominic,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So we should have a republican government, really and truly.
And in a republican government, the president is the head of state, and he's
Yes,
elected,
right.
and you have
He's
the prime minister, who is the head of cabinet. Is that what it is? The head of parliament.
head of cabinet, head of
And
government.
right. Okay. All right. All right. So, in sticking to the Constitution, and when you said, the Constitution is supposed to govern everything that happens in the country, let's talk
Definitely.
about your experience with with the current government, your interaction with the current authorities. Where I don't know if you've been arrested, but you definitely were brought before the court
I've been
on
arrested a
multiple
few
occasions.
times.
You've been arrested, yeah.
I said I've been arrested a few
A
times, not
few
once,
times,
not
not
twice.
once, not twice, a few times.
Yeah, a few times.
Right. And then you had to be going to court a number of times.
Yes.
Um Let's talk about that experience. Talk about the different times you were arrested and charged and brought before the court, just to lay the background so people can understand where it stems from as we go through your experience as an example of where probably you think your constitutional rights were violated.
Well, for one, the very first time we were arrested, right,
Hmm.
was when we made a video after the 2019 election. We made a
Hmm.
video talking about the situation. I mean, we Munsewe.
Hmm.
That was when we really came up as a group, Munsewe. Yeah, that noise. That was when we came up as a group, Munsewe. Was after the 2019 general elections.
Hmm.
And then seeing how the situation was in Dominica and continues to be, that we felt that there was a lack of conversation, there was a lack of action towards the ills of our society.
Hmm.
And we felt, so we made a video where we spoke about certain things. We came out in a group and we were arrested because of that video, of that same
You're
video.
arrested for making a video.
Yes.
What about the video that the authorities says was in breach of the law?
Um, we were arrested by the present acting commissioner of police, Davidson Valerie.
Uh-huh.
He said it was um, conspiracy to commit seditious activity within the state.
Conspiracy to commit seditious
Act,
activity
yes,
within the state.
it
Uh-huh.
was something like that. I cannot remember
And
exactly, but something to that effect.
did he ever point out what exactly in the video he was referring to? Is there a particular statement that you guys made in the video?
Well, he said one of the individuals in the video mentioned that about stoning some group or stoning.
Okay.
But it was to me it was an insult, right? In terms of these guys, like they try to insult your intelligence. But I mean, yeah, it was. We were brought to the police station, taken to an interview room. The video was played, and they went through the video. But what really caught my attention was that they did. Yeah, it is. This guy is acting as Davidson Valerie is the acting commissioner presently.
At the time he was what, an inspector?
At the time, he was the superintendent of the Dominica Police
Superintendent.
Force,
Okay.
and he's going through the video. He's writing down, taking down statement that was made in the video, and he cannot correlate what is being said and what he's writing. So he's making a lot of mistakes. And here it is. Fitzston Henderson had to be correcting him on numerous. And I'm checking like for somebody at that capacity, you should be.
Mhm. More on the ball. Right.
Yeah, man, you should be a lot better than this, right?
Right.
And it was really, to me, it was. I just find it kind of exposed the system, in my view, even more.
Hmm.
I kind of saw like the system was worse than what I thought it was, you know.
Yeah. And how long ago was that?
That happened in
2019,
2020.
you said?
I don't
2020,
know. That happened in 2020.
2020. And that was the first
Yeah.
time you were arrested. What happened to
Yes.
that case? Is it still before the court?
Well, we were never officially charged. We were
So
just
you were
released.
arrested, brought to the police station,
Yes.
processed, and whatever, and then
And then we were
released.
just released without no charges,
And
you
nothing
know.
happened to that. So what was
Nothing
the
came up.
next times you were arrested
Uh,
and charged?
Let me see. Another time we had an activity outside the police station because there are a few times we used to go outside the police station and speak out to the police because
Hmm.
we felt like the police are not acting on the crimes that have been happening in our society,
Right.
and they are very selective in what they do. Even today we see it. I mean, we see the kind of crimes that are going on.
Hmm.
The white collar crimes go unnoticed.
Hmm.
All the crimes by the politicians and their henchmen and so on. These things just like fly under the radar. So We used to go out in front of the police station. We used to go by FIU, and call them out
Mm-hmm.
and make them know, like, we know what all you're doing and this is what all you're doing. And, like, call out the head of FIU. People, yeah, a lot of things. You have square pegs in wrong holes. People that not even qualified for the positions they are in.
Right.
So they just see there as yes men just to satisfy a political directorate. So
Mm-hmm.
we used to call them out on that. And one time, whilst we were in front of the police station, was an incident occurred. I was dragged into the police station, arrested, charged, taken to court.
For what this time? Disorderly conduct, obstruction? What?
Um, Actually, I was charged the same way. I did not have a mask. I was charged for not
You were charged
because
because you didn't have a mask. It was during COVID then.
yeah. So it was. I did not have a mask. I was charged for not having mask twice. The last time
Mm-hmm.
I got arrested was for not having mask.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they claim.
Right.
Actually, I was in that. Not boy. That case never even went to court.
Okay, so you were arrested a couple of times and the case didn't make it to court.
No,
Do
but the
you
one
have
in
a
the police station, we went to court, right?
uh-huh.
It got dismissed for
It
lack
got
of
dismissed by
evidence.
the
And
magistrate.
yeah, no evidence, no nothing. The
Right.
police couldn't provide no evidence to the charges that they brought. So
Right.
the case was basically dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
I was charged another time. But it's a lot of petty nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
just,
was there any substantial charge that you actually went to court for?
well, the last one was the walk-in. But like again, it's a set of petty nonsense.
When you say
So
walking, what do you mean?
we were charged for moving around town. Remember, Afi created the walkers
The
on
Wednesday
a
walkers, where you
Wednesday,
guys every
the
Wednesday
Wednesday
you all
walkers,
walk.
right?
Right. Okay.
So we used to collaborate with Afi, Munsewi and Afi, and we used to
Mm-hmm.
go around and do things. So we supported Afi
Margot
and we
is
went
part of
to,
the audience, and I know Margot was really
yes,
front and
Margot
center
was
in that
also
as well. Yeah.
someone to cut. So
Mm-hmm.
we
So
were
yeah,
someone,
so
we
they
were
charged you
someone,
guys for what? For walking? What was the charge
yeah, we were
exactly?
someone to cut for, well, the whole charge was illegal,
Procession?
yeah, illegal possession.
Okay.
But basically, what it is we walk around Roseau.
Without permission.
Right, they say we create a illegal procession. So we did a procession without a permission. But the
Right.
funny thing about it is we never obstructed traffic, we never obstructed anybody.
Right.
Right?
You were just
Traffic
walking. You happen
continued.
to be walking in the same direction at the same
Yeah, we just walk in. Now,
time.
same thing, you have a constitutional right to freedom of movement, freedom of association,
Yeah.
freedom of assembly, freedom of conscience, you have your right to life,
Right.
you
Pursuit
know,
of
and
happiness and all of that.
right. So yeah, it is. You are well. We were not arrested. We were just summoned to court. But that case went on for like 2 years, where they never presented a case actually.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we just been summoned to court, summoned to court. There was never a case presented.
How many times you think you guys got called to court in that 2 year period?
Let me see if I can remember. For this year alone, we went like 3 times so far. Last year, I would say about say 8 times, 7, 8 times, eight.
7, 8 times you were brought to court over a 2 year period,
Yeah.
and the people that arrested you and charged you in those 2 years and in 8 appearances at court never presented evidence.
No, there was never a case. That is why I kept asking the magistrate, the magistrate Pearl. Well, Pearl Williams was the magistrate on the
Hmm.
case, the judge, and I asked her the question, like, how can you take somebody to court and not present a case, and how much time do you really need? Because the last time I told her straight, like, she's rewarding these prosecutors for being incompetent.
Hmm.
So if you take somebody to court and you have already had an entire year, you have already had an entire year to prepare a
Hmm.
case, and you cannot prepare a case, and here it is, you have a DPP's office and she's complaining that the DPP was sick and this, and so I'm asking her, well, does the DPP not have staff?
Hmm.
So if the DPP cannot function, if the DPP herself is incapacitated, So does the office cease to exist or cease
Yeah.
to
What happens to
function?
justice? What happens to the, Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
so the DPP office is staffed with numerous people. I mean, you have police officers, you have lawyers, you have clerks, you have so. Why reward these people for not doing anything? Why keep pushing back a case? Why?
Right.
Yeah, I said, well, Section 8 of the Constitution affords me a speedy trial. So
Mhm.
somebody takes me to court and they cannot present a case against me, the case should be thrown out.
Mhm.
Because and then she argued, well, one time, what's her name?
The
That other
DPP,
judge.
Ms. Dairampo.
No, not the DPP. Kanya Carrot judge.
Okay.
She's also a magistrate, a judge. I think
Magistrate.
she's the chief judge,
Mhm.
chief magistrate or something. She was sitting in one time and I asked her, and she was telling me, oh, the DPP has a constitutional right because she's the one that sat on my three other cases, right? And she knows anytime I come to court, I normally brings up the constitution straight.
Mhm.
Make them know they violating my constitutional right. You violated my right. That is my
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
Because there's so many things that these people do that just not right. I mean, yeah, at first they used to have us out there in the rain, sun, and then I tell them like, yo, you only know Dominica is a signatory to this resolution by the United Nations where it's now a human right for you to have a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. It's a human right now, you know. So yeah, it is you all have people out here in the rain and sun and shine and no covering, no nothing, and
Mhm.
the constitution also telling you that you're supposed to provide the facility for me to prepare for my case. So I have in that I can represent myself. You also have to provide me with the facility for me to prepare my case. And I'm asking her like, when can we use the library? How can the library is off limits because it has this fungus or some type of infection.
The law library you're talking about.
Yeah, in the court.
At the court. Okay.
Yeah. So all these things and
So they have mold. They have mold in the law library. So
yes, so it's closed off.
it's closed down.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm telling her like, yo, you are the magistrate. You're supposed to be the one that creates this balance. Yes, I understand that the DPP. I understand that the DPP may have her constitutional right, but what about my constitutional right also?
Mhm.
You're supposed to be creating a balance. Instead of you creating a balance, you're basically picking sides. So even you in yourself, and she kind of took offense because I told her like even you in yourself in your behavior, you don't seem to be impartial.
Mhm.
So but she basically told me, not basically, she told me straight off that she knows the system is broken and she doesn't care. That is coming from a magistrate.
That the chief magistrate saying that.
Yes, Candia Carrot George.
Judge. She's saying that she know the system is broken, but that's not a concern of hers.
Yeah, she doesn't care. She said it just like that. She doesn't care. So I tell her, like, you're all destroying people's lives over something that you know does not function and is not good.
Mhm.
So how you increasing now? How you plan to improve on our democracy? And these are the people that presently supposed to be looking over our constitution,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And sometimes you look at the system here and you just feel like it's so broken. It's just like as if it's just sometimes you feel like it's a wasted effort
So
because
So what happened to that case? That case was dismissed, right? That's one of the reasons why I invited you on
yes, that
tonight is
case was
because a couple of
dismissed.
weeks that case was finally dismissed after
Yes,
2 years and being dragged to court. Margot was part of the group that was being brought to
yes,
court.
Margot, myself, Afi, Handbag, Danny Luge,
Hmm.
Lennox. They called so many
Lennox
people.
Linton.
Yeah, Lennox
Okay.
Linton.
Hmm.
There's Bernard Ito. Well, I don't. But them some a lot of these people were not served, so they
Okay.
were never really served
They
once.
never came back. They
Yeah.
chose well. They chose who to come back. And so basically, the scenario is that you were arrested on multiple occasions,
Yeah.
charged on multiple occasions, brought to court on multiple occasions, never charged really. brought to court because no charges were
Well, yeah, for
presented
the walk-in,
for the walking
a
on this.
case was never presented.
Right.
There
And
was
then all
never
of
a
a
case.
sudden just say, you know what? We don't need you anymore. Go, this is dismissed.
Yes, and I asked the magistrate, Pearl Williams again, like, why is the case been dismissed? And she told me straight she don't know. So I turned to the prosecutors, and two prosecutors. There were two officers dressed in their police uniform.
Hmm.
Um, I think
Hmm.
there is one is Sergeant Yankee, and I don't know the other guy's name.
Right.
But I asked them, like, why is the case been dismissed? And they started, well, Yankee just troops in and checking, like, boy, you should just leave, you know.
You should just be happy that we dismissing the case.
Yeah, he told me I should just take that like that and go.
Hmm.
So I tell him, no, it's my right to know.
Right.
So I want to know. And that man just carry on like I wasn't speaking to them. And the magistrate, she just bowed her head like she didn't even want to hear about that.
So as a U.S. citizen in Dominica, being arrested, being brought, have to disrupt your life. Margot said pretty much every 3 months to go to
Yeah,
court. You have to take time off from work. You have to find your way there, take a day in the sun, in the rain, in the dust, stand in front of court just to be told, come back next time. That happens for 2 years. And then all of a sudden you're told, you know what? That's okay. We're not going to do that anymore. You can go. And we don't even have to explain to you why or what it was.
exactly.
And
I,
and so when you talk about operating from the constitution straight up, people don't understand. We hear those things in the news and people associate them with North Korea, people associate them with
exactly.
Iran and Russia and those places. But those things are happening right in our country. And if
Definitely.
they're allowed to go unchecked, who knows what it's going to be like in 5 years or in 10
But
years?
I mean, see that there were instances where police took the lives of two guys, one at Portsmouth and one in Roseau, right? Right in the police stations, you know.
Mhm.
So Kerwin Prosper was killed, right?
While in police custody.
Yeah, in police custody,
Mhm.
you know, and right there in police headquarters in Roseau. Also, well, they charge, I think the Officer Coffee was charged for that, but they basically, not basically, they murdered the guy.
So
They
he
beat
was
him to
charged. So
death. Huh?
he's no longer a member of the police force.
Well, they have an ongoing investigation, I think they say.
But
So they say,
in the
so
meantime, he's what, on leave or
yeah, he on leave.
paid leave.
Yeah, they give you half your salary and until the matter is resolved. And
Mm.
when the matter is resolved, if they find, well, um, basically if they drop the charges or what it may be, and they reinstate you into your job, you get compensated
You
all
get your
the
back
half
pay and you
salary
get
that was
everything. Yeah.
missing. You collect everything as a lump sum.
And
Yeah,
the
Joshua
state
Etienne, that's
provides
right. Yeah,
defense for them,
Joshua
huh?
Etienne. Huh? Sorry?
The state provides defense for them, or they have to get their own defense.
That I'm not sure about.
You're not sure about. Okay,
That I'm not
all
sure
right.
about.
Somebody says Joshua Etienne was also
Yeah,
killed in
Joshua Etienne.
Portsmouth police station,
Yes.
and
And all
I saw with my own eyes the bus drivers were demonstrating one time, and
yeah,
a policeman shot a bus driver, one of the protesters, just shot him. He didn't die, but he just shot him. And I
yes.
never heard anything about that. If an investigation was carried out, if anybody was held responsible, anything like that.
So those acts were one of the reasons why we used to go in from the police station,
Hmm.
you know. And I mean, it have a lot of others.
Right.
The police brutality, the discrimination, and for many years we have a government that actually create and how should I put it? They have created this culture of institutional discrimination. in Dominica. And the Prime Minister came on the media and he said it straight out. And he was not taken to task. The judiciary did nothing about it. They said nothing about it.
The Bar Association, the Lawyers
Nothing
Association,
about it.
nobody said anything about it.
Yeah, he was on Q95
Hmm.
and that show
What did he say?
he was saying that basically if he has to employ someone and there are two candidates of equal qualification, one from one supporting his Labour Party and one supporting the United Workers' Party. He said openly that he will go with the one that supports his political party, the Labour Party.
Yeah. But I think in practice it's worse than that.
Yeah, but
I
what
think
I'm
I,
saying is
I,
that
I think that if even if there are people who are qualified and they perceive that person to be not a supporter of the government, they will give the job to an unqualified person that they think is a
yeah,
supporter
I
of
know
the
when things
government.
happen, it has happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I came back from my studies, I was denied. I mean, at the time, I wasn't even aware of what was happening,
Mhm.
but it's only years after I realized because there was job opening. An architect had recently retired, and I was denied that job.
Right. And
But
you
I
had no
didn't
idea why.
know
Yeah.
what.
So Neste is saying that one of the bus driver at the bus protest was assaulted. He says assaulted, but the guy was shot. I actually was watching the demonstration live,
Yes.
and I saw the police shoot the guy.
Okay.
And it turned out that his brother was a police officer at the scene. When he came to the scene, he was right there. He wasn't next to the guy that shot him. But when he came there, he said it was his brother that was shot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, it happened somewhere in Canefield, like
Yeah, they
towards
beat the
under the
shit out
cliff.
of that man too.
Yeah, they beat him up and they shot him,
Yeah.
and nothing for that. I remember before I used to have friends that were policemen, and when they were going on patrol, they would have to sign out for their firearm and sign out for their bullets. And at the end of their patrol, they had to come back and hand it in. And
Okay.
if it did not tally, they had to write a report as to why they checked out 6 bullets and only 5 came back. Far less for if they discharged their firearm, they really had to do a report and an investigation as to why their firearm was discharged. I guess all of that is out of the window nowadays. That doesn't happen because I've never heard anything else happen, take place. Nobody spoke about it. Um, the guy got shot. He got shot. You know.
Just
So
sad.
those sad things happen in Dominica, and we seem to just take it just like it's regular stuff that happens. When
Exactly.
when we see them on the news, we hear about Putin arresting his political opponents, and the guy dies in jail or he's killed or he's assassinated. It's up in the news, and we talk about it, but we don't talk about the discrimination that's happening right there in Dominica. And you are personally experiencing it because you choose to not bow to the system and to protest.
True.
Where, and as you said, the Constitution guarantees you the right to association, the right to freedom of protest, and all of those things. So, I mean, do you, as a young person, as an activist, as somebody who has shown that you're not willing to bow your head in the face of injustice, do you see um, a way out of this conundrum?
Yes, I would say yes. I mean, yes, there's always hope.
Mhm.
I feel, to me, I always feel to myself, and I always feel to myself that it's easy to defeat the Labour Party,
Mhm.
but it's something not going to take a lot of work,
Right.
right? But it's just the angle. I feel, and that was one of the reasons why we came up as a group and we
Mhm.
started to speak out because we feel like we were on the outside and we were watching what was happening for many years, just watching, observing what happening, not speaking, not saying nothing, and we could have just continued, You could just continue with our heads bow and
Mm-hmm.
go about your business, make your money, and don't really care about nothing. But it came to a point where I just considered like that is nonsense because we can see certain things that just not making any sense, and it just reached a point where we just came out and we spoke and
Mm-hmm.
we kept speaking, we keep speaking, and it just
Some
keep
people are
going.
suggesting, for example, like one of the audience is saying, all we do is talk. How do you respond to that?
Well, we are social beings, and talking is a way of resolving our problems. Talking is a way of addressing our problems. Talking is a way of helping one another,
Mm-hmm.
giving encouragement to one another, helping one another get out to feel that basically to inspire others. We can speaking is a way of encouraging and inspiring others. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You back up your speech with action. Right. We used to hit the road, we used to come on the road, we used to challenge the system, you know. I mean, we haven't been doing that for a little while since the
Mm-hmm.
COVID kind of came in and
Mm-hmm.
kind of just slowed down the activities. But we used to be out there, like you say, we used to be in the authorities' face, challenging them, pushing the
Right.
boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and getting there, and but speaking, the conversation has to continue because
Yeah,
it's
but you
through
guys are not only speaking, Melvin Munseria especially has put themselves in the face of the police. I watched protests and I saw policemen really assault some of your compatriots. I saw this policeman really strike Buju in his chest really, really hard and assault him.
Okay, okay.
Um, so it's not you guys have not only been talking, you've actually been taking action in that sense.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
We have to push the bounds. You cannot just sit back and speak to. It's a
Mhm.
combination of things and a balance.
Right, right.
So yes, the person might think we're speaking too much or too much speak or no, no, the speaking cannot stop.
Mhm.
The speaking is a form of getting people inspired, is a form of getting people aware, is a form of
Educated and awareness.
education,
Right,
and building
right.
that awareness, building that togetherness, making people know that there are others that share that sentiment
Mhm.
that they may have also, and we can all come together and stand up together and deal with the system because without us there is no system,
Right.
and we need to communicate with one another, man. Communication is key.
So once I know I passed the commercial break, but I didn't want to break the conversation because I thought it is flowing well. I hopefully the sponsors will understand us for one night. Um Munsewie, uh what are your plans for the short term? What kind of support do you guys need? How can people get involved? Folks like me who are not here. Um,
Sorry, who was not
I
here?
said people like me who are not in Dominica but may be interested. Talk to the
Yeah,
audience.
well,
How do we support and what do we
presently we kind of just really starting back up. We started doing back our we used to have this Monday night live, so we
Mhm.
started that back like just couple weeks now, and
And
hopefully
you have a Facebook page, right?
yes. So we do Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
So
And
we
your
have
Facebook is Munsewie, Moun Sewie. Uh-huh.
MOUNSEWYE.
So folks, you can go on their page and you find them there. Munsewie. You can follow their action. Also, are people is it possible for folks to make donations on the page?
I not no not yet, not
Not
yet.
yet.
We haven't
Okay.
had yet set it up.
Do you have ways of folks making contributions to you all?
Well, before we used to we received some donations in the past through mostly Western Union, basically.
Okay.
When we
All
used
right.
to go on the Saturday tours,
Mhm.
people used to contribute so we could get gas,
So
vehicle.
who would they send it to? You don't
Um,
remember?
Maggie, it
Maggie
used
Peters.
to be wired for Maggie, but Maggie right now does be so busy.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So find out
but
who
I
it
think
is.
we can come up with.
put it on your Facebook page. I'll encourage folks to go on your Facebook page, and
Okay,
you
so
can
we
put
can
it in
come
there,
up
or they
with that.
can message you on the face from the Facebook page. Send a
Yes,
message,
yes,
and you guys will be able to instruct them as to
yes.
how they can support and contribute.
Right. Because
Yeah.
hopefully next weekend, well, not this weekend, but the following weekend,
Hmm.
we should be coming back on the road again.
Right.
Hopefully, once everything goes good.
I know you guys used to print copies of the Constitution and distribute them.
Well, not print. We used to purchase them at the it's
Oh,
$5 a copy at
right.
the government
Printry,
printing,
government printry.
yeah, on High Street.
Okay.
So, and what we used to do, like, yeah, even like that, sometimes people used to donate so we could be able to get those constitutions. So we'd get the constitutions and distribute it. But what we have a program we want to, but we have been having a bit of difficulties in getting a lawyer to participate. And we was hopefully trying to get a lawyer that we could have a podcast where we could speak on the constitution, go through
Mhm.
the constitution section for section and actually get a lawyer to explain it. But since we have been getting some difficulties with that, just thinking of doing it all on our own,
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
ourselves and our
Yeah,
interpretation.
the common man in
Yeah, and if
interpretation of the
somebody,
Constitution, right?
yeah, so if somebody feel they want to join, all that, that would be something that,
Yeah, I think just even if it's just reading the Constitution a
yes,
section at a time would be beneficial. Even if you're not a legal person to give an explanation,
yeah,
just reading it because folks are not
yeah,
even
because
familiar with what is in the Constitution.
right. And apart from that, what we realize in distributing the constitution, a lot of people were saying is that yes, they read through it, but then the wording and so on, they don't really understand it. So
Hmm.
it's like the way it is written, the way it is structured, they don't understand it. They don't really know how to go through it. So like sometimes you might tell somebody, look at section 8 of the constitution, look at this section. They would say they don't know how to find it. So it would be easier.
Hmm.
For example, we create a podcast and we could go through it section to section and people could just reference because you just reference it and you could listen to the audio of someone reading it and giving a brief explanation as to
Right, right,
what
right.
it signifies. So
It would be such a cool thing if a few people could over time go through the Constitution and produce a document almost that says that
well,
kind of
actually,
you know
there is one I have it on my desk right there. Ali Clarence, he did this book.
the Constitution, the government, and you, Ali
Yes,
Clarence.
yes, Ali Clarence, that's him right there, right?
Uh-huh.
It's
And
a very good,
it's
it's
a
a very
very good
good
book.
book.
You'd
Yeah,
recommend it, right?
yeah, man. It was recommended to us by Singola Blomquist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's the one that told us about it, Williams.
The Constitution, the Government, and You by Ali Clarence.
Yeah, it's a good book.
I mean, I'm reluctant to
It
promote
kinds
anything
of,
that I am reluctant to promote anything that's done by Ali Clarence. But if you say
yeah, it's
it's
good. It's
done
good.
good,
I
then
use
yeah,
it for my referencing. It's good.
okay. And
It,
what it
it
does, it breaks it down in layman terms, certain
yes,
aspects.
it gives a simpler
Mm-hmm.
interpretation of what the Constitution really is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good book. Yeah,
That's a
I don't
tremendous
know if
thing.
he sells it out from out of his office. I think it's
Uh-huh.
45 EC for it. 45 EC, I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly. I bought it a couple years back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we all have. I think most of us have a copy of that in the
Right.
group. Most of us in the group we have a copy of it in Munsewye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I see someone is saying it is available on
No,
Amazon.
he's asking, is it available?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, and maybe
But it's a good book. It's a
listeners may be
book.
wondering why I'm laughing, but I can just imagine in my mind, I was just imagining like a Saturday workshop where folks gather and use that book for study, and
True, true,
eventually a movement grows out of it,
true.
and um, and people can quote Alec Lawrence
Yes,
as the source of the protest. I think that
yes,
would be
he did
golden,
a,
man. Yeah.
I think he did it it was done in the early 2000s.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was done in the early 2000s. Even in the book, yeah, it says there January 2007. So even in the book, he's saying that he's taken back by how few of us actually knows the
The
Constitution.
Constitution.
Yeah, and for he's been in government, his party's been in government for 20 odd years, and
Is it
he
he
has
that
done.
is it he that is the one of the close attorneys to the Prime Minister?
Yeah, man, he's the one that accompanied Skerrit when he went to Greece.
Mm.
He's an advisor to the government. He's a CBI agent. He's also a CBI, well, that hotel at Portsmouth at Coconut Beach.
Uh-huh.
That's his development, CBI.
Kipensky. So it would be extremely interesting to have a session like that and invite him to come and speak on the book.
Yes, that is a good idea.
You know,
That's a very good
tell him
idea.
we're organizing a workshop around his book and
I wonder how
we
you
invite
would
him
take
to
that.
speak.
But it's a good book. Nonetheless,
Hmm.
it's a good book.
Wow, wow.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Folks, I know I didn't take any break and therefore I don't know if you joined us late. My guest tonight on this weekend interview is Mr. Davidson Julian. Everybody knows him as Pyro. He is one of I call him frontline member. I don't know if he has an official title, but he's a frontline member of
Actually,
Munsewie,
we
has
all
put
have
his
titles.
body on the line several times, get arrested, dragged to court along with some of the folks in the audience, like Margot,
Yeah,
um,
Margot.
Margot Larocque and Afi Mate and I guess people. I don't know if what's my part? Lofty is Lofty sometimes with you guys, not really.
Yeah, Lofty was on our
Lofty
first
was
video, the very first video we did. Lofty was there,
Lofty
you know.
was there. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
Lofty was also brought in for questioning. They searched Lofty
yeah,
house, they searched our
yeah.
house.
Imagine for producing a. Do you know that happens in Dominica, folks? That young people produce a video and they're arrested for the contents of the video. You
And you
know.
know, yesterday I was looking for that video. Yesterday I was looking for that video
Yeah.
because I
So
was trying to find that. I was trying to go back to our first. I didn't find it, you know, but yes, I must ask Kashma.
yeah. So I mean, we burned through the hour without a break. It went
Yeah,
by quickly. But I
yeah,
really, before you go though, as a young person, as a young professional,
yeah.
um, paint a picture for folks like me who are not on the ground. When you look around you, is it promising? Is it bleak? How difficult it is to make a decent living? Um, how optimistic are you about the economic fortunes of Dominica? Just let's spend a few minutes and just free talk about what is going on and what is your perspective of it. What can we do about it?
In terms of the economy of Dominica, and well, in my field of work, I'm a trained architect. I studied in Cuba 6 years, 1 year
Hmm.
Spanish, 5 year of architecture and urbanization, right? And in terms of say the architectural engineering construction industry in Dominica, the all every single one of the major construction projects in Dominica is run and controlled and operated by MMC.
Hmm.
Well, on the state, in terms of the state, all major construction projects done by the state are
Hmm.
run and operated by MMCE, who are known to, who are made, they have been made state developers. So people like myself, local architects, are basically out of
Hmm.
those projects.
Hmm.
And even when you look at it, I mean, there's a lack of regulation in the country, so that allows situation like this to happen. So take for instance, I graduated and I've been here for numerous years practicing architecture, right? And I cannot get a stamp because there's no board of architects that could issue a stamp. So you'd have to go to the different institutions. So if, like for instance, you want to be on the list of the bank, you'd have to go to the bank, give them your submit your qualifications to them, and if they feel like they want to put you on their list, they put you on their list.
Hmm. To be a
Which is not,
recognized architect. Yeah.
yeah, which is not right.
Hmm.
right? I mean, people dedicate their time, you make sacrifices so you could come back and contribute to your nation. And there should be regulation in terms of architecture, engineering, and those different industries and those different professions. Take, for instance, we have an EPA with the European Union, and the European Union was saying that if we could organize ourselves into those professional bodies, they would recognize our qualifications and have reciprocity
Hmm.
of qualification. So whereas somebody could come in from the European Union and work here in Dominica, we too could apply for work in the European Union and have our qualifications recognized.
Recognize, right?
So all those things are advantages of having formal professional bodies
So
and
why
regulate.
why can't the architects come together and create a professional architectural society?
Well, the society is there, but there's no, well, even with that is a whole other issue. But the society right now, it's
It's
non-functional.
done. Okay.
Yeah. But the board of architects, they have been trying to form the board of architects for many years. There was all type of issues with it. The last time I looked at it, well, that was like in 2015, so that
Hmm.
was like 9 years ago.
Wow.
And we're talking about, there was at the time, I think Blackmore was the Minister of Communication, and he was kind of reluctant on signing it into existence. So
Wow.
that was also an issue.
Hmm.
And we see, and now we really understand why.
Hmm.
Because without a board of architects, these architects can come from anywhere and come here because there's no real regulation in the jurisdiction.
Right.
So people come from anywhere and they do whatever they feel like, and since they operate with the government, planning accepts it.
Wow.
So,
No, lack of institutions.
yeah, I mean,
Y- Uh, uh-huh.
the engineers are organized up to a certain level. They have an association,
Yeah, I remember when I was in Dominica, we started one. Yeah.
yeah. But the lack of professional bodies is a major
The
problem.
major problem.
Yeah.
In 2024, huh? Wow.
Yep. And like you saying it, and you'd expect like you graduate from school and you get come back home, and those little kind of basic things would not be a fight. So
Right.
you just check like you just people would be able, I mean, people of like minded, I mean of this in the same profession would have the understanding of, yes, let's come together and actually do get these things done and
Mm.
complete this, and it is in the benefit of all of us as
To everybody.
professionals.
Right. Hmm.
So I guess some of them they get work through their political maneuvering, and to them they fine with that.
And so
So
you're saying, as a young person, even as a qualified young person, the opportunities are restricted because of the way the system is run.
yes, definitely, yeah, man, definitely.
And so there's a lot of work to do. And even if you were to come together and create it yourself, you still would need it to be made an official organization.
Yes, I think from what I know, the board of architects was supposed to be giving the stamps.
Hmm.
So you go to an architect, you can get that architectural seal.
Hmm.
Right. The
So then
board
does
was,
so not the constitution, but there is some regulations that establishes that gives the basis for the formation of a board of architects.
I didn't quite get that.
No, no, no. I'm saying the board of architect is something that is written into the law. That's provisions for in the law. Maybe not specifically, but
I cannot remember exactly how it
professional
goes.
bodies. Um,
I cannot remember exactly how it goes, but they're
uh,
supposed to be the ones responsible for
responsible
issuing
for it.
the the,
Yeah,
the, the, the stamps to architects.
and establishing codes of practice and
Right.
yeah, industry. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Regulating the architectural
Regulating.
practice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So for you to be a licensed architect, you would need to go through the board of
Somebody to right.
architects.
So
Yeah.
is there one on a regional level? There are no
No,
bodies like
no,
that on a
no.
regional level.
Each jurisdiction
It's jurisdictional
has
at
their
the level.
own.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, in the OECS, for many years, I think right now it kind of changed, but for many years is we were governed by the OECS building code. So our building standards were being held by the OECS building code. But I think now each jurisdiction has their own
As
code.
their own, as their own.
Yeah.
But with the freedom of movement through CARICOM and the Treaty of Chagaramas, if it's difficult to get board certified in Dominica, go get board certified in St. Lucia. And that should give you the ability to work in
Well,
Dominica.
I spent 4 years in St. Lucia, right?
Uh-huh.
At the time, they were setting it up in St. Lucia.
Uh-huh.
And well, right now, I think they're a lot more advanced. One of my colleagues is, well, a former classmate of mine.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Cuba together. I'm not too sure if he's still the president, but he was the president for a couple of terms.
So that's one way I think you should be able to circumvent the Dominica issue. Get
Yeah, but the
certified
thing
in St.
about it,
Lucia.
yes, I
And
would have a St. Lucia stamp.
yeah, but there's freedom of movement,
Yes, but listen to
of
what I'm saying. I
services
would
and
have a
labor. Uh-huh.
I would have a stamp from St. Lucia,
Right.
but there's nobody to issue a stamp in Dominica.
Right, but I'm saying your St. Lucia stamp should be applicable for the OECS throughout CARICOM because of the Treaty of Chagaramas. That's something that's worth pursuing. I believe that's probably the way to go around it. Because according to the Treaty of Chagaramas, you have freedom of movement of people, goods, and services.
Yes, it's freedom of movement, but that itself in itself is a whole other story. That Treaty of Chagaramas, you have two of them.
So that's what I'm saying. But Pyro, what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that so if you are a certified St. Lucian architect, you cannot be denied to work in Dominica, and you would hope that they would deny you so that you could take them to court.
Well, you're not supposed to be denied because, like, that was what I was coming to tell you. Like, for instance, the OECS is much more integrated than CARICOM. So the OECS is the Treaty of Basse-Terre, right?
Right.
And then you have the Treaty of Chagaramas, which is CARICOM. Now, the Treaty of Basse-Terre, we are more integrated than, so we're even closer. When I went to St. Lucia, I had absolutely no problems. So I went to the ministry, spoke to a few people because I went to actually when I went there, I went and I had the CARICOM skill certificate, so you had to go to them. I think for them to create another one so you could get this, how they call it, permanent residence and so on and all that. Because at the time it was not open to everybody.
Right.
It was open to professionals, artisans, and so on. When I told the fellas, well, it's Dominica I coming from, and one tell me, well, you have absolutely no problem. It's the OECS. One time we just go over there, and they'll just stamp the documents for me, and I just went, and
right.
There's actually no problem. The lady even asked me if I had family. I said, no, sure.
So I'm suggesting that, maybe professionals in Dominica can go get stamped in another island and just.
But I think that circumventing the problem, I mean, we should.
No, it's not circumventing the problem. It is taking away the power that they're trying to exert to keep you guys from.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, it still doesn't fix our problem because at the end of the day, there's no regulation, so people come in and they do what they want, so they still
right. But I'm saying if the professionals in Dominica have a OECS stamp and somebody's coming from outside of the OECS, that can be challenged.
Yeah, well, if they don't have the laws and they don't have the body, I mean, you'd have to challenge it on your own.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. You have to challenge. Yeah, but I mean, all of those things are interesting discussions.
Yes. Because there's a lot of things that I mean we don't discuss, but there's a lot of things that just our society just we just, when I tell you we off.
Like, for example, these major projects that's going on in Dominica, who are the architects and the engineers, and in what jurisdictions are they licensed?
Exactly. Not one of those projects you could say, well, they were done by a local architect or even a regional architect.
And so therefore, who checked their credentials and who knows?
I remember when I did a revision. We did a revision when they was building the State House. I was part of a team. We did a revision on the State House. And there were so many issues with this whole the whole functionality of the different species and so many things that
Mhm.
basically they had to reorganize the species.
Mhm.
They ended up reorganizing the species. But yeah, that is because it's cultural issues. Like how they might the way they might organize their species in China is not the way they might organize it here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because based on our culture, based on the way we are accustomed of living and so on. So in architecture, that things you take into consideration. The
It's
culture is something.
very cultural,
Yes,
and yeah, and social
yes,
norms. Yeah. Mhm.
yes. And having foreigners actually, and architecture and urbanization is a representation of your society, of your art, is a culture within itself. So
Mm.
it's an expression of it's an art form.
Yeah.
The way
Yeah.
we build our houses, the way we set them, run our roads, the way we place our houses together. It's an art
Yeah.
form
The
within itself.
where we face our homes, how we take advantage of the trade winds, all of those things are pretty local considerations.
Because every country you go, you'll find it different.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah. There are things that remain the same, and there are things that change. But you can
Yeah.
see,
From local to location to location.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely,
All
definitely.
right. So I think we can bring this conversation to a close. This first one.
Yeah,
Very interesting. You and I would get probably too technical and run away our audience.
yeah.
but
To try
those
to,
are things that need to be covered because our audience, they have nephews, they have nieces, they have
yeah.
young people that they need to provide guidance to.
Yes, and
And
people
so
aspiring to these things in life,
yeah,
to be
yeah.
professionals.
And so
I
it's an
remember,
interesting conversation. You're an architect, I'm an engineer. I
yes,
worked in Dominica, you worked in Dominica before. Margot is an artist, Alvin is
yes,
a trade unionist. There's so many, things on
different
here
aspects to it.
having that interaction with folks. I see Dr. Dion George on here, he's a political scientist.
Okay,
We have to be able to provide that space where, in the absence of the formal um, education taking care of it. We have a tradition of passing down our oral traditions, and we just need
yes,
to continue it and make sure it happens that way. You know, but I want to start off I want to end where we started off, about the Constitution, and you saying that the Constitution is a social contract between the citizens and the authorities, and also highlighting the need to get people familiar with the Constitution. And the way I want to position it is to put it in context. We know when we were colonized and when the religion was used as a weapon against us, the priests and them used to keep the Bible to themselves. And they would tell you what they want you to think is in the Bible. And
true,
so
true.
people would follow the instructions blindly. And so maybe that's the same thing that's going on when we look at our constitution and our
And
social happenings.
I have an experience, I'll share with you on that
Go
because
ahead, go ahead.
when we went to it's just a quick one. When
Hmm.
we went to Four Session, right,
Hmm.
and we were distributing constitutions, and we read some from the constitution, and there was this elderly man, and he came up to us and he was like checking basically who gave us the right to even read the constitution.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So what you saying there, it happening even today.
Even today, who
Yeah.
give you the right to read the constitution? You
Yeah.
didn't go to law school. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to, yeah. And so that's what I was going to say, that what you guys are proposing is very, very relevant to make the constitution so commonplace that the average person know that they have a right to go seek what is in the constitution,
Yes, definitely.
become familiar with the constitution. There's a few areas where that is so important: in our
Definitely.
religion, in social studies, the constitution, in our health. We need to get
Yeah.
the educational health so we can converse with our doctors and stuff like that. And so thank you to Moon for what you guys do sometimes at your own physical risk. Because I've seen them arrest you guys, and they're not kind. You know, they rough you guys up.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up like we tell the police already, like these things are really not going to deter us. I mean, we grew up in a community where, I mean, I've seen many guys. I've seen a lot worse than that. I've seen police beat fellas until they have to end up hospital. So
Mhm.
we grew up around that where police brutalizing people. So police brutality, like I tell them, is not something that's going to deter us from what we're doing. That it just going to fuel more,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, we grew up around seeing police brutality and wanting to stop police brutality.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if the police coming towards us with force, it's not going to help them. It's not going to help us. I mean, it's just going to give us more fuel to add to what is going on, and our activities.
I think for a while there, you guys really trembled the authorities because they came at you
Yeah.
guys with force and brutality, and
If COVID saved them,
you
let
guys
me
did
tell
not
you,
back down, yeah,
COVID saved them, man. COVID,
because
trust.
COVID allowed them to put a curfew
Yeah,
and to have a
COVID
reason
saved them.
to take you guys off the streets, yeah.
Because there was a time when we used to have, like, I mean, the crowd was really going getting thicker.
Hmm.
At
Hmm.
a certain time, we'd go in from the police station, and time you look, it maybe have 500 people out there,
Right,
and people were starting to understand and see what we were speaking about.
right,
Because a lot of people going through that. I mean, the police, they choosing to go through only certain sectors of the society,
right.
come like it's only poor people and low income communities that
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
crime.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
So, you know, as you say, you guys going to reactivate
yeah,
and
we have
energize, yeah.
started up.
Yeah.
We have done around, I say, 3 weeks. I think now 3 or 4 weeks now.
Hmm. Hmm.
We've been doing. We have started the Monday Night Live,
Live, and then
and
to go back to the
hopefully,
communities and so on. Yeah.
yes, hopefully by next weekend we'll be back on the road.
Hmm.
So yes, the contributions would be nice. Would
Would be,
come in
yeah,
definitely in
to help with the
responses.
gas and the water,
Yes,
and, you know,
of
and
course.
maybe we need to start identifying some lawyers who will be willing to represent you guys when you guys get arrested. You know,
I don't think we'll get. Well, I shouldn't say I don't. I don't. Well, we will always be taken to court, but the arresting, I kind of think we reach a point where the police kind of they develop a relationship with us where we kind of have that mutual understanding.
you
I
guys
would
have a
say,
fence, huh?
yeah, they kind
We're
of,
on that side of the fence, and you guys on that side.
yeah, we kind of have a, but it all depends to where sometimes things just get out of hand. But
Yeah.
but we can understand one another, because the police, they are people too, and
Hmm.
even they want a better situation. Even they too,
Right.
they want to live in a better environment. They want to be able to express themselves also, and
Right.
we don't have to just isolate them. But
Because they don't have it easy either.
no,
We see the conditions under which they work.
yeah,
Um, and then what does it do to your humanity to be given orders to go carry out orders that in your own soul you know it's not right, but you have to do it
exactly,
because of your job. After a while, that
exactly.
has to get to you. You know.
Yeah, because they're facing the hardship like all of us. Right now, price on everything going up and
Hmm.
salary staying the same.
So,
So everybody going through the same hardship. So
while the government give themselves how much percent increase?
sorry.
I say while the government give themselves whatever high percent increase in salary. You know.
Yep.
Yeah. So where do we go from there? Let's let's bring you back. Mahago
Really?
says, thanks, Professor.
Yeah. So
Alvin says, this guy is deep. He has a great thought process. He says, you need to bring Pyro back. I completely agree with that. I think we had a pretty good conversation, really light but serious.
yes, yes.
Highlighting what you guys are, what you personally have experienced. Um, you know, folks, we have a lot of participation. This one is a
Yeah,
longer
that's good.
one, including reports uh, unlawful killing, random or unwarranted detention of political opponents and other
Yes,
individuals.
definitely.
Yeah, that oppose the corrupt regime, harassment of citizens, including random and illegal raids of opposition members. So folks are, are aware of it, um, and as we as we talk about it more, more and more people will become aware of it
Yeah,
and
build the awareness,
understand what's going on.
create some
Folks,
educational programs, and
definitely.
build awareness.
And that, printing of the Constitution, I wish everybody in the audience would commit, $100, $100, 100 East
And
dollars buys 20 copies of the Constitution.
but also the constitution is online too.
Right. No, but I mean for you guys to distribute it when you go.
Yes, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Oh
for
yeah, I
anybody
pick
that
your point. So everybody on
also
here
online,
can print it and become familiar with it also.
yeah.
And give one to somebody. Yeah. So you say it's online, it's on the government website?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So they can just search for Dominica, Commonwealth of Dominica Constitution, and you should pop
yes,
up in the search. Okay.
yes,
Yeah, that's something we all should do. Be familiar with the Constitution.
definitely.
All right. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to close off. Let's bring this to a close. I don't know if there are certain things that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about. You can bring it up,
There's so
or
much
if in
things to talk
general.
about.
Yeah.
So much things to talk about. Yeah, but I mean, the time limited, so we have to try
Mhm,
and keep it
mhm,
within a certain perspective. So yes, in closing, I would definitely say, like, we as a people, we as Dominicans, we need to put away the red, the blue, the different colors, the yellow, pappy out of it for now. But we really need to put away the colors, the red, and come back to being Dominicans, man, and embrace ourselves, embrace our culture, and try to find solutions to the issue. Be inclusive, let all ideas contend,
mhm, mhm.
and be inclusive, be tolerant, and be empathetic towards our fellow people. And because even, well, it's not just us as Dominicans, but we have people come here to Haitians, different nations is the majority, but you have others, from other Caribbean countries. I mean, I have a lot of friends from all around the region, all Jamaica, Cuba, come down, Central America, Belize, Grenada, Trinidad, name it, South America, Brazil, Colombia. And all of us, we're just really looking to live a comfortable life. So I just feel we should just look out for one another, allow ideas to contend, and let's try and build a nation where we can all be proud to represent and be part of. Yeah. With that, I will say good night.
Yeah. I like how you ended it, um, talking about a nation where everybody has to be proud because the Olympics are going on now, and folks are so proud of the performances of the athletes. The
True.
athletes that are representing Dominica under the Dominica flag.
Yes,
But
definitely.
one of the most celebrated athletes is this guy Richard. Um, Frederick Richard is an American gymnast. His mother
Yes, I
is
saw his performance.
his mother is Dominican,
Yes,
and everybody is so proud of that.
true.
But what are we doing about making Dominica be able to produce these folks, keep
Exactly.
them in
True.
Dominica, and allow them to excel
Within
while being
Dominica.
in Dominica? Like
True, true.
Jamaicans excel, and they don't have to go to another country to excel. They can stay
True.
in Jamaica and excel.
You're so right, man.
You know?
I
And,
agree with that 100%.
and so when you talk about having a country that we're proud of, that should be the ultimate aim. Our countries are not supposed to be stock farms producing bodies to go in other places
True.
to benefit other places. Our country is supposed to provide people that develop our countries,
And that is our number one resource, our human
our
resource.
human resource.
Number one
And,
resource.
and so until we achieve that, until Anthony Drago don't have to migrate. If you
True.
migrate, you come back. Because I went
True.
away to study and I came back to Dominica in 1990. But I'm no
Okay.
longer in Dominica. I worked for a little more than 12, 13 years in Dominica as a professional.
Okay.
but had to migrate because my kids, when they started to go to high school, to give them an opportunity to have a life, you
True.
migrate, and that's the story of so many people,
Yes, definitely.
you know, and so that is how I gauge development, in my personal gauge is when our young people, the majority of our young people, their aspiration is not to migrate. Their aspiration is they can stay where they are
True,
and
true,
be
true.
given the
And
opportunity to excel.
one of the issues, like even like that, that was one of the reasons we came out and we spoke because, like those conversations they were lacking.
Hmm.
We were not hearing it, and we
Right.
grew up in communities where I can the majority of people we grew up with have left,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people that even like that old back door and risk their lives, and a
Yeah.
lot
And
of
you
them
come up
died.
here, what you're doing, work that you're doing is not, there's no profession that is below or lower, but folks who have a certain profession, a certain passion, and they migrate and be doing work that they would never do if they had stayed in their homeland, but
True,
they're
true.
still able to make a better living doing it than if they had stayed in
Yes,
their land.
because everybody does want a better life.
A better life.
I tell you the American dream, the Dominican dream. Yeah, you want to live comfortable. You want
Yeah,
to
you want to.
afford
You
to do
know,
what you want to do.
there's a poem that I read and I need to get it, and it says basically that nobody leaves their home unless like there is just this really harsh voice that is forcing them to leave.
True, true.
Nobody leaves their home. So migration is hardly ever voluntary. Migration is almost always forced. There's always the adventure person that in us that will go and seek adventure. But on
True,
a
true.
whole, people don't just leave their homes. They leave their
That is
homes
true.
because the home is a harsh place.
That is true.
Um, so Pyro, let's do this again. All right. I
Definitely,
like the vibe.
definitely.
The audience obviously like the vibe. Um, Didi Easter says, great program. Thanks for having Pyro. Always enjoy listening to Pyro and the other members of Moonserie.
Yeah,
Keep the
man.
pressure on. Change is a must, not an option.
True, true.
And Alvin says, great closing, bro. Pyro and great program, Tony. Folks are expressing real satisfaction with the way our conversation went tonight. So
Yeah, it was good.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
and,
Thanks.
and I'll be tracking what Munsewi is doing, and let's see how we can collaborate a little bit more.
Yes,
And
definitely.
all the best, man. All the best.
Yeah, thanks, thanks.
And
Likewise.
on behalf of all Dominicans, thank you to you and to Munsewi for the work
Yes.
that you guys do.
Well, it's thanks to all of us. We're all Dominicans. We have to put the effort together, and
Yeah, definitely,
we just have to
definitely.
continue doing what we do and
All right,
contribute how we can. And everybody play their part, and definitely just work together.
right,
Uh,
right. Thank
definitely.
you. All right, and good night.
Yeah, good night to everybody.
Mm, okay.
Appreciate it.
So, folks, there you had it. Really wonderful conversation. I didn't take a break. I know my producers and them might get my neck for that, but um, I just think the conversation was flowing really well. I didn't want to interrupt it. A young man, young professional, really giving his perspective and his experiences with the justice system in Dominica or lack of justice in Dominica, really giving his perspective on trying to make his life as a professional. Um, the emasculation of our institutions as a professional, no means of really establishing yourself as a professional architect in this case. You know, I think that there's so much to address. And what I really like about Pyro and Munseria is that they lead with the Constitution. And I think that is probably what we need. I read something that says that when Europeans went to Africa, Africans had the land and the Europeans had the Bible. And the Europeans gave Africans the Bible and they put down their head to read the Bible. And when they looked up, the Europeans had the land and all the Africans had left was the Bible. But we need to do the opposite though. We need to we need to really, you know, work with the Constitution. Let folks understand that just as the Bible is your religious book, the Constitution is your social Bible. It's your political Bible. It's your economic Bible. It's your life Bible. Understand that all your rights as a citizen springs from the Constitution. And in the eyes of the Constitution, every citizen is equal. And so your rights and the rights of the president and the rights of the prime minister and the rights of the policeman and everybody else and the supporter of one party or another is all equal in the Constitution. And therefore, we have to be familiar with what are the rights that are promised to us in the Constitution. What in the Constitution is promised to us so that if you get arrested and taken to court, if our land is taken away from us, if we are disenfranchised, we can go back to that Constitution and find a basis on which we can defend and demand our rights. And so we really appreciate Pyro and Moonsewye and all of you, Margot and all the others who are standing up every day and facing the beast, and that's trying to make it normal to see our rights denied. And Dominica has a government that doesn't take the people into account. So, for example, one of the things that I see is that the government of Dominica doesn't feel that they are accountable to Dominicans. You only see them respond to a situation when it gets the attention of the international community. And even then, they don't go to the local press and make the statements that they make. For example, just this week, we got the news that the government was going to revoke citizenships for a few people that got it through the CBI program. They didn't go on DBS and announce it. They didn't go on Dominica News Online and announce it. They in some other outside news organization announcing it, really saying that we don't really care what Dominicans think about it. What we care about is the image that we have on the outside, giving that priority over the Dominican people that they're supposed to be serving. And so the Constitution is going to help us to understand and to recognize those atrocities. The government is supposed to be afraid of the citizens, afraid in the sense that knowing that the citizens have the power to elect them or not to elect them, to take away the privilege that they currently enjoy. But when we have a government that has the people afraid of them, we know we're on the wrong side. We're holding the blade instead of the handle. So let's wrestle that out of them and get the handle back. And the Constitution is where we should be able to, that weapon that we use to fight them. All right. So, folks, let's just keep it going. If you're looking at the Olympics, congratulations to the folks who are competing on the Olympics and, making us feel a little bit of pride. For a change, Dominica is in the news and it's not for something bad, which has been the case in most recent times. And folks, continue to enjoy the rest of your week and we'll see you next week. Lined up for next week, we have Miss Annette Sanford, the new Kalinago chief, first woman chief of the Kalinago people in Dominica. She's coming on. It's the 7th of August because the 9th of August is also International Day of Indigenous People. And so we'll be celebrating both her victory and also talking about the indigenous people of Dominica and the indigenous people of the world. So good night, folks. And thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.